Alright guys, Revol Rossler here, and this is going to be PPV Flashbacks Episode 6. Today, we're going to be reviewing Vengeance 2005, a show that took place on June 26, 2005 from Las Vegas, Nevada, with the theme song Happy by Mudvayne. And this is a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. So the reason this show is on my wheel of pay-per-views is because it's revered. It is considered one of the best B shows of all time. And looking at the card beforehand, I had seen the main event Hell in a Cell match before, and I believe I'd seen the Angle Shawn Michaels match before, but I'd not seen any of the rest of it. And so this was like a kind of exciting pay per view to go into. Hopefully this will be the best pay per view I've watched in this series so far. So far we've had pay per views that are either average or like just good, with like one or two matches on the shows that really stick out. Hopefully, with this pay per view, given how revered and how loved it is, we can have a really, really good show that is very easily the best show of my pay per view flashback series. So, without further ado, let's get into the show. The show took place a couple of months after WrestleMania 21, so we've had a big changing of the guard in the company. John Cena is the WWE Champion, and Batista is the World Heavyweight Champion. John Cena has just been drafted to Raw in that sort of draft where they just shoved a big star across from Raw and SmackDown every week. Batista is currently still on Raw, but that won't last much longer. And we've also had Carlito and Kurt Angle both jump across to Raw. Um, so the opening of the show, we obviously have the big video package for the WWE Championship match, which lasts about 20 seconds, and then the one for the World Heavyweight Championship Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Batista. And that is very sort of focused on the cell and Triple H being the devil and being Satan. And Batista keeps saying, "I'm going to kick the devil's ass." And that's how we open the show. First match on the show, though, is the Intercontinental Championship match as Carlito, Caribbean Cool, they have dropped that part of his name, though, at this point. He is just Carlito, defends against Shelton Benjamin. Shelton had been champion for about 8 months, I believe they said, and Carlito was drafted to Raw literally a week before this pay-per-view, and Carlito beat Shelton in his first night on Raw for the title, just like he beat Cena on his first night on SmackDown for the US title. And so this is just a rematch from that match. In that match on Raw, Shelton did a suicide dive over the top rope, and it barely got caught by Carlito, and so they were suggesting that he got like a mild concussion from this dive, and that is sort of the basis for this matchup. Shelton comes out really hot, really aggressive towards Carlito, but eventually Carlito slows him down, and Carlito's offense at this point in his career is a bit boring. So he does like a suplex, and he's using strikes and stuff, and he power slams Shelton 3 times in the ring, and that's supposed to be hurting his back rather than his neck, so that they're a bit confused whether it's his back or his head, or did he have a concussion or is it a back injury. The commentators are a bit confused as to what the injury Shelton has, even though Shelton is very clearly selling it as a concussion. When he does like a top rope clothesline to Carlito, he immediately starts holding his head like he's dazed. And this is like an okay little match. Carlito's moveset isn't great. Like, Shelton's great, realistically, and Shelton does a lot of the work in this match with all the bumping and stuff like that, and getting his head worked over by Carlito, taking some forearms and shots to the head. Um, but Carlito's moveset isn't great at this point, and he's a bit boring. The crowd, though, are into Carlito. They are chanting for Carlito, and they are booing Shelton Benjamin. And it's weird because Shelton is the babyface. Maybe they were just tired of him being the Intercontinental Champion and just wanted something else. The finish comes, though, when Carlito takes off a turnbuckle pad behind the referee's back. Shelton goes for a stinger splash in the corner. Carlito apparently drop toe holds him or drop kicks him in the knee, and Shelton falls, headbutts the exposed turnbuckle. Carlito does like a really sloppy schoolboy thing near the ropes and gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Carlito retains the Intercontinental Championship. It was like an okay match. with some really good bits from Shelton. So I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars. I'm going to say it was a decent match. It's incredible that in 2025, both of these two men are still in major companies, in major spots. Realistically, Carlito is part of the Judgment Day, and Shelton is part of the Hurt Syndicate, who are currently AEW's World Tag Team Champions. Where I am currently in February of 2025. 2 3/4 stars, decent match, decent way to open the show. Oh, now my phone's just said it's running out of battery, so we're going to have to put it into battery saving mode. Second thing on the show was just Triple H backstage entering the arena, and then we had a video package for a match between Christy Hemme and Victoria. And this video package, I don't know, was longer than, I mean, the IC title opener didn't even get a video package, but this does. So Christy Hemme won a swimsuit competition, which Jerry Lawler picked her as the winner of it, and Christy Hemme got attacked by Victoria after it, and Christy Hemme is showing this really aggressive, fiery personality side, and in a backstage interview, she gets attacked with like a glass jar, and I think her head gets busted open at the back, and that is the feud. And so this is probably, there's no women's title. There's no women's title on the show. This is the only women's match on the show that's not for the women's title. And obviously Christy Hemme won the 2004 Raw Diva Search, so she hasn't been wrestling very long. But they put her in there with someone like Victoria, who's very experienced. And Victoria in this matchup does her best, but Christy is still green. So it wasn't as bad as, I will say this match was nowhere near as bad as the women's match between AJ and Cameron on the Elimination Chamber 2014 show I reviewed. Please check that review out if you haven't. It was nowhere near as bad as that one, but this was still not great. Christy comes out of the gate really aggressive and fiery, but Victoria works her down and just works on her for a good 2-3 minutes. She does this really cool like backbreaker thing, but by holding Christy's hair on her back, which was kind of cool. And then she's just working over Christy Hemme, like it's pretty dull stuff. She goes for a Widow's Peak, but she doesn't get that. She hits a big boot. And in the end, Christy goes for a sunset flip out the corner. Victoria sits down, grabs the ropes. 1, 2, 3. Victoria beats Christy. I'm going to give it 1 1/4 stars. Like, it was not terrible, but it was not good. And 1 1/4 stars seems about right. Victoria did the best she could with Christy Hemme. It was a 5-minute match. It was actually longer than the Victoria match I reviewed in this series at WrestleMania 20 against Molly Holly, which was much better than this. Please check that review out if you haven't. But yeah, 1 1/4 stars. Not great. So the show's not really firing on all cylinders yet. We then go backstage with John Cena, who is talking to Todd Grisham, and he basically says to Todd, have you ever been new at a place? And Todd goes, yeah, I was the most popular at school, I was the best athlete. And then he says that he peed himself in class, and I don't understand why they always embarrass the backstage interviewers, but that is what they do. And then John Cena cuts a hell of a promo talking about how he has earned this WWE Championship and how he's going to fight to keep it. So really good promo from Cena. And that moves into the third match on the show, which was Kane versus Edge. So there's a lot to unpack here. So Kane in 2004 had a feud with Matt Hardy over Lita, and he beat Matt Hardy at SummerSlam in 2004 in a Till Death Do Us Part match to be able to marry Lita. A little bit later on in the year, he forcibly impregnated her, and this was all horrible stuff, realistically. Kane at this point is a heel, obviously. Heel for beating Matt Hardy and stealing his girl. Heel for impregnating Lita. But as the year progresses, in 2005, Lita begins to fall in love with Kane. And a little bit of that probably comes after Snitsky gets involved, and they have a feud where Lita falls and she has a miscarriage. And this television stuff is all so insensitive and horrible that I really don't want to touch on it that much. So Kane turns babyface with Lita because she falls in love with him. And turning Kane, as Brian Zane very much says, Kane the good guy rapist. Oh, it's just not very touchy stuff. And for some people, I imagine it'd be like turn off the show sort of stuff. Um, and so they turned Kane babyface, and he got to the finals of the Gold Rush tournament to crown a number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship against Edge. And in the match against Edge, Lita turns on Kane. She gives Edge his briefcase, and Edge puts it up while Kane's doing a diving clothesline, and he hits Edge with a briefcase and pins Edge to win the tournament. Kane is heartbroken after this. He's cutting really sad promos, and he's not the Monster Kane anymore. And Edge and Lita do a fake wedding ceremony, which is just horrible and great. And then Kane comes from under the ring and he attacks the priest and he tombstones him, and that's how we basically get this match here with Edge and Kane. And also, in the sort of background of all of this Kane Edge stuff, the reason that Edge and Lita basically got put together is because in real life they were having an affair. So Matt Hardy was wrote off TV around early 2005 with an injury, and so Lita was on the road with Edge. They had an affair, and Matt was eventually fired from the company for this. And it's one of the most insensitive, again, things they've ever done. They fired the man who was cheated on. And so the crowd are having like a big campaign to get Matt back. They are chanting at Lita, calling her every word that I do not want to utter on this channel. Some of those words are just not great. And they are trying to get Matt back in the company, and Matt is out of the company until a couple of months later. So that is all going on around this match. This match has got crowd investment out the wazoo, we should say. So Kane comes out to Slow Chemical, which is I've always thought was a great theme song, and of course Edge comes out with Lita. This is quite a slow match at the beginning, with them sizing each other up, but eventually Kane just starts to dominate Edge, throwing him around the ringside area, destroying him with strikes and uppercuts, until eventually Lita distracts Kane. Kane goes to throw Edge into the ring post, slips out the back. Edge slips out the back and pushes Kane into the ring post and then spears him on the outside. He takes Kane in the ring and starts working him over. Kane would eventually fight back with some clotheslines and a side slam. He would hit a clothesline off the top rope. Edge would, though, hit an Edge-O-Matic after slipping out the back of a chokeslam, I believe. There's good action in this matchup as it progresses. Edge goes for a spear at one point, but gets big booted. That was a really good spot. Edge does hit an execution, though. Eventually, Kane is going for a chokeslam, and Lita gets inside the ring, and Kane goozles her down to the mat, and he picks up a chair that Edge had brought in the ring earlier, puts it round Lita's neck, and is going to Pillmanize her, which the crowd absolutely love. You know, she did Matt Hardy dirty. And then Gene Snitsky comes out and attacks, or at least distracts Kane. I believe Edge is hit with a spear. Sorry, Kane is hit with a spear at this point, but I think he kicks out. Snitsky goes to distract Kane again, but Kane uppercuts him, I believe, off the top rope. Oh, no, that's not it. Snitsky grabs Kane. Edge has got the briefcase. He goes to hit Kane with the briefcase. Kane dodges, so Edge hits Snitsky. Edge chokeslams Kane. Sorry, one way round. Kane chokeslams Edge. 1, 2, 3. Kane beats Edge and gets a little bit of revenge on Edge and Lita. As much as the story and the stuff around this match is all really insensitive and vile, this is a good match. And actually, this match exceeded my expectations quite a bit. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I thought the action between Edge and Kane are both very good workers, and they've never had super great matches. Like, I think that their feud in 2010 was really bad. Like, the matches weren't great. But here, they had a good match. 3 stars, best thing on the show so far. I liked this match. After that matchup, we had goodness me. After that matchup, we had a video package for my goodness. I didn't put what the video package was for. And then we had a HBK interview with Todd Grisham where HBK is saying about beating Kurt Angle and how he's going to do it, basically. And he says, vengeance will be mine. And that leads us into the fourth match on the show, which is Kurt Angle versus the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Let's have a quick drink before we talk about this one. So, this is a WrestleMania 21 rematch. That match at Mania was into promotional. At this point, it is not, because Kurt Angle has jumped ship to Raw from SmackDown. And it's really great when you can build a match like this, and the build is basically just, wouldn't it be great if these two fought again and we ran it back? And this match does start slow. So Angle at the beginning of this match is just trying to pick Shawn's ankle, and Shawn is doing a very good job of avoiding it. Every time he avoids it, he goes outside the ring to regroup, and that does show how dangerous the ankle lock is. It is the move that beat Shawn at WrestleMania. Eventually, though, we get some bits where Angle starts to work over Shawn, and the cutoff for that comes with Shawn getting German suplexed on the outside of the ring onto the announce table, just on top of it, and then he rolls off it. And that's sort of the big cut-off for the match. Angle hits a belly-to-belly suplex in the ring. Angle is obviously working on Shawn's ankle as well. Shawn keeps countering the Angle slam into things. So the first time he counters it into an arm drag. The second time he counters it into a DDT. Very, very good stuff. Angle does lock in the ankle lock a few times. At one point, he gets it locked in, and I think he locks it in for too long. Like, for me, it's just too long. Shawn goes for a clothesline at one point, and Angle ducks it, hits the Angle slam, but Shawn kicks out. Both men start to get to their feet, and Shawn hits a desperation Sweet Chin Music out of nowhere. Probably one of the best Sweet Chin Musics I've ever seen him hit. And that gets a near fall. Shawn hits the elbow drop at one point, but that also, and then he tunes up for the Sweet Chin Music, and Angle just clotheslines him out of nowhere, pretty much. Really good clothesline, actually. Towards the finish, though, Angle has got his shoulder up from that Sweet Chin Music out of nowhere, and Angle goes to the top rope, and he goes off the top rope with a flying nothing, and he gets Sweet Chin Music for the second time. Shawn Michaels crawls to the cover. 1, 2, 3. This is a great match. Like, the action in this match is great. I really liked Shawn's selling of the ankle. But there are two things that I do not like about it. One of them is, as I said, Shawn is in the ankle lock in this match for too long. It is also my problem with their WrestleMania 21 match. But at least, I will say about that match, it's the finish. He's in that ankle lock for ages and then taps out. In this match, he's in the ankle lock for ages and still somehow survives. The second thing I don't like about this match is the finish. Angle goes up to the top rope for absolutely no reason. Angle in his whole career has probably gone up to the top rope less than 20 times. Especially for a front jumping attack. Like, obviously he does the moonsault, which is backwards. How often does he do front jumping splashes or elbow drops or anything like that? So it's preposterous that at that point in the match, after taking that first Sweet Chin Music, he would go to the top rope. Finish aside, this is a great match. It's not as good as their WrestleMania 21 match, but it is certainly great. It's two of the best workers in the company, two of the best workers in the world at that time, working a classic match. 4.25 stars. It is the best thing on the show so far, and it is a great match. It's just those two things really damaged the match for me. It would have been 4.5 stars if I had a better finish. It would have been 4.5 stars if the ankle lock wasn't on so long. Maybe I need to rewatch the Mania 21 match to compare, but after watching them both side by side, and, well, after thinking about the Mania 21 match, which I've not seen in a few years, that match is much better in my eyes. But I'll maybe have to rewatch that whole show in the series at some point. But 4.25 stars, it is still a great match. And so far on the show, it is easily the best thing. After that matchup, we had a Coach interview with Batista, and Coach basically says, "You're scared of Triple H and you're scared of Hell in a Cell." Batista goes, "You're just a suck up. I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to beat Triple H." And then they had a weird bit where Triple H confronts Batista backstage, and they just sort of look at each other, and Triple H goes, "You're going to be walking out of Hell in a Cell, but not with that," and points at the world title. And it's like, on what other pay-per-view would you have the two main eventers who are in a massive feud talk to each other before it? It was a very weird choice of thing to do. And then we moved in. We had over an hour probably of pay-per-view time left on the show after the Shawn Angle match. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what else is on this show? And there's a black couch in the ring, and Lillian Garcia comes out, and this is about the time that they have Viscera being the world's largest love machine. And Lillian, so the story of Lillian is Lillian got injured in a match a few months ago. She injured her ankle in a match where she was getting out of the ring, and Charlie Haas accidentally knocked her off the apron. Big Viscera falls in love with her and starts to like fawn over her, and Lillian sort of pushing his advances away. But on this show, she decides to not rebuttal them anymore. So she comes out, she invites Viscera to the ring, she sings to him, she confesses her love for him, and then she finally proposes to him and says, "Will you marry me?" However, before Viscera can respond, well, so Viscera goes, "I think I'm going to have to take it under consideration," which is just so funny. I think it's maybe he was waiting for the cut-off to happen. And the cut-off does eventually happen when the Godfather's music hits. So he's been out of the company for a few years at this point. And his music hits, and he comes down to the ring with all of his hoes, all 5 of them, which he's brought. And I believe this is just because Charles Wright was a bouncer in Vegas at this point, so they just called him in for this night. And he comes to the ring and he says, "Big Vis, I know you. How could you marry one lady? You know, you've got such an appetite for it, for sex, basically." And Viscera looks at all the hoes and touches all the hoes, and he basically says, "I'm aboard. I'm gonna get aboard the hoe train." And so he dances with all of Godfather's ladies, and and Lillian Garcia is just in the ring pretending to cry. And Viscera goes up the ramp and he looks back at the ring and he just goes, like, are they, do they enjoy embarrassing their announcers and interviewers? Like, preposterous. Terrible segment. This really, really annoyed me. This took loads of TV time away from matches that could have been better if they had a bit longer. So, yeah, this was stupid. And why is it every show I review on the series needs to have a damn rubbish, crap, awful segment like this? The Carly Kiss Cam or the swimsuit competition at Royal Rumble 2000. Why do we need these terrible segments? Stop doing them, WWE. It's a pay-per-view. Just have match, 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 match. Match, vignette for the match, match, vignette for the match, match. Like, just do that. That's why the biggest couple of Manias have been so good. Yeah, this was a terrible segment, and I've got to obviously think about it when I think about the whole show. So that's why I needed to talk about it. Then we moved into the penultimate match on the show, the WWE Championship match, as John Cena defends against Chris Jericho and Christian. So, John Cena jumped across from SmackDown to Raw a few weeks ago in the draft, and the first person he feuded with was Christian. And essentially, it was just going to be Christian against John Cena for the WWE Championship. And Chris Jericho attacks John Cena a couple of times because he feels like he should be in the match too. And so Eric Bischoff eventually puts him in the match as well. And the reason, apparently, that the WWE higher-ups put Jericho in the matchup is because they didn't believe Christian could actually fulfill this spot on his own, which is a damn shame, because that is exactly how WWE always reviewed Christian. And sucks, because Christian was a good heel, and this would have been a really breakout match for him if it was a singles match. It being a 3-way isn't the end of the world, but if it was a singles match with Cena, you maybe could have seen a bit more from Christian. So, the thing I like about this 3-way is that the actual match itself, the thing I actually like about this three-way is that there are two heels in it, but they do not just double team Cena. They have a very obvious beef with each other, which is that they both believe they're essentially the top heel on the brand. And they're not, because Triple H is on the brand. But he's in the world title match. So they battle each other at times. So, for example, the first cut-off is Christian taking an FU to the outside of the ring, flat back bump on the mats, and then we have Jericho and Cena in the ring. And Cena takes a bulldog. Jericho goes for the line saw, but Cena moves, and eventually Christian gets in the ring, and we have some stuff between Christian and Cena, which is also very good. And then we get a little bit between Christian and Jericho, which is nice because we haven't really seen them interact much since Mania 20. Which Christian does bring up in the build to this matchup, how he has beat Jericho in a big match. Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho on Christian at one point. He eventually does lock it in on Cena. Christian hits the reverse DDT on Cena at one point for a near fall. Tyson Tomko hits a massive clothesline on Cena, which Christian also gets a near fall from. They do a big Tower of Doom spot where John Cena powerbombs the two as they're doing a superplex. He goes for a cover on both of them, but they both kick out. Tyson Tomko is also ejected earlier in the match. Or I should have said Tyson Tomko is at ringside for Christian, and he is ejected from the ringside pretty early on, but he returns later on to give that clothesline to John Cena. The finishing stretch is really good. Christian is going for a kill switch, not the kill switch, that's not what it was called. The Unprettier on Jericho. He gets him round. Jericho pushes Christian into Cena, who lifts him up for the FU. Chris Jericho then runs at Cena, but Cena spins Christian's body so that Christian's feet collide with Jericho's head, which take Jericho out of the match. He hits Christian with the FU. 1, 2, 3. Cena retains the WWE Championship. This was a very, very good triple threat match. It's not in the upper echelon of WWE's triple threat matches. It's not as good as Gunther, McIntyre, Sheamus, or Benoit, Triple H, and HBK. But it is very, very good. I think I gave it 3 3/4 stars. So very, very good. Nearly a great match. Very, very good match still. And Cena, a big proving win for him over two guys on the brand who probably had no chance of winning the belt. But you know, a very, very good win for Cena nonetheless. And then we moved into the end of the show pretty much. So we had a promo package for the new Road Warriors DVD, which I actually own. And then we had the main event of the show, the Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Batista the champion, Triple H the challenger. So, in the build to this matchup, Batista obviously beat Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 21. He then beat him again at Backlash, and between Backlash and Vengeance, Triple H left Raw, and Ric Flair was really angry at Batista because Triple H had left Raw. But then it seemed like Batista and Ric Flair would reconcile their relationship, only for Triple H to return, Ric Flair to low blow Batista, and Triple H to hit Batista with the sledgehammer. And that's how we built to this matchup. It's Hell in a Cell because that is the match that Triple H wanted, and this is essentially Triple H's last chance at the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think it's also the last time Batista would defend the World Heavyweight Championship on a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, as very soon after this, he would jump across to SmackDown. The match starts pretty fast. They start throwing each other into the cell and stuff as they get outside the ring. I believe it's Triple H who feels the cell first. But then it's Batista who feels it, and Triple H starts to take control. He gets a chain from under the ring, starts whipping Batista with the chain, before then hanging him over the top rope with the chain. Bit early in the match to be doing hanging spots with chains, but fair enough, lads. Batista eventually fights back, hits a hot shot, and starts whipping Triple H with the chain. He then wraps the chain around his hand, goes to hit Triple H with it, but Triple H cuts him off, hits a spinebuster, and he knocks Batista at one point. He knocks Batista off the apron into the cell, which did look like a really cool bump. Triple H goes under the ring now and gets a steel chair covered in barbed wire. And he hitting Batista in the back with this chair with barbed wire, and you can see all the lacerations over Batista's back. I really love the close-up shot of Batista's back with all these little cuts in it. Really, really cool camera work there. But Triple H at this point is already busted open. Batista just sends him into the cage at one point, and that busts Triple H open. He's literally bleeding everywhere. Triple H gives Batista a second chair shot to the back before Batista finally gets the chair for himself, and he gives Triple H a couple of waffles in the back with it. He then dinks Triple H in the head with the chair, which Triple H, thank goodness, put his hands up for. Batista then hits a power slam to Triple H onto this barbed wire chair. He goes for something else, and Batista gets DDT'd onto the chair, rolls out of the ring, and then he comes up with a crimson mask. So both men are now bleeding in this match. They're fighting on the outside of the ring, and Batista lawn darts Triple H into one of the sides of the cell, and they're just doing loads of stuff. Triple H gets the sledgehammer, and eventually, after enough fighting with it, he clocks Batista with the sledgehammer shot. 1, 2, Batista kicks out. Batista eventually gets the sledgehammer. He goes to hit Triple H with the sledgehammer, and Triple H at that point has wrapped the steel chain around his hand, clocks Batista with that. Batista still kicks out. Batista is running out of... Triple H is essentially running out of things to do. So they go outside of the ring, and Batista's been sent into the steel steps and the ring posts and stuff as well. Batista sends Triple H into the steps, and he then runs with the smaller bit of steps and hits Triple H with them on the outside. He brings the bottom part of the steel steps into the ring, and he starts just throwing Triple H's face against the steps. He goes for a Batista bomb, but Triple H low blows him, hits a pedigree. Oh, and before this, by the way, before the pedigree, at one point, Triple H goes for a flying nothing off the middle rope, just jumps at Batista while Batista's flat on his back, and Batista uses the sledgehammer to attack the throat of Triple H, and as he does it, Triple H leans back and spits out loads of blood. It was a disgusting spot, but also a very cool, unique spot. So Triple H hits the pedigree after a low blow. Batista kicks out. So Triple H goes on top of the steps, flattens them out, goes on top of them, goes for a pedigree on the steps, but Batista lifts him up, hits a spine buster, and then picks up Triple H, who has got the sledgehammer in his hand, gives him a Batista bomb before Triple H can use the sledgehammer. 1, 2, 3. Batista wins this brutal, grueling, fantastic Hell in a Cell match. I think this is the best match on the show, and I think this is a very, one of the very best Hell in a Cell matches they've ever done. Batista, this was a proven match for him. Cena had a proven match in terms of the people he was going to work with. Batista, this was his brutality match, and he worked really well in there with Triple H. I think this is the best match of Batista's career, and it's a 4.5-star match for me. I think it's brilliant. It's one of my favourite Hell in a Cell matches. I love the brutality in this match. You watch Cell matches, maybe not last year, because Punk and Drew was very brutal. But you think about the Cell matches a couple of years ago, the ones Roman's had with people, and the ones a few years before that even, and they've never been as brutal. Yeah, so 4.5 stars to that main event. A brilliant main event and a great way to end the show. My final rating for Vengeance 05 is a little bit of a tricky one. So the first half of the show, you can mostly skip. The opener's decent, but not super great. The women's match obviously isn't very good. And then Kane and Edge is a good match, but nothing you're going to miss. And then the second half of the show is all good, pretty much. The Angle Michaels match is great. The Viscera Lillian Garcia stuff is skippable, obviously. The three-way is really good, and in the main event, I believe, is again one of the best Hell in a Cell matches they've ever done. So, as an overall rating, I think I'm going to give the show an 8.5 out of 10. A really, really good B show. It kind of lived up to its the bar that I'd set for it before I'd watched it. Great wrestling in that second half of the show, and even the Edge and Kane match is good. Good action in it, and a really, really good B show. 8.5, 8.5 out of 10. Easily the best show I think I've reviewed so far. Maybe not have the best matches, but it does have some damn good matches, and they sort of carry the show to being a very, very good show. And as I said, I think the best show I've reviewed in this series so far. So, guys, 8.5 out of 10 for Vengeance 2005. Thanks for watching. This has been Revolver Ocelot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts. What did you think to Vengeance 2005? Have you seen the show? What do you think to the main event? Do you think, like I do, it's one of the best cell matches the company have ever done? What do you think to Michael's Angle 2? Do you think it was better than the Mania 21 match? And what do you think to everything else on the show? The Triple Threat WWE title match, the Edge and Kane match, and the Women's and IC title matches? Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Revolver Ocelot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.